All right, welcome to Bonehead Weekly. It is absolutely our pleasure to have our first Tromette ever on Bonehead Weekly. We have Athena and watch me butcher this. Prychodko.
Very close. It's Prychodko. Yes.
Prychodko.
Very, very close though. Yeah.
Like
Yep.
chutzpah.
Yeah, sort of like you got chutzpah. Yeah.
Chutzpah. I need to work on my Yiddish, James. Damn it.
Yeah.
You do. Yeah, I've been saying that for years, and now
Son of
you
a
now
bitch,
you pay
dumb bastard, Joe.
Yeah, watching Yentl over and over again doesn't do a damn thing
No,
for you.
well, I had a. This is a true story. I had someone who spoke some Yiddish. He was a dean for us temporarily, and I said something one day, and he goes, "Oh, you know Yiddish?" And I said, "Mel Brooks Yiddish." It took him 10 seconds, and he oh, that's how a kid from Holler in Eastern Kentucky knew anything about Yiddish was from Mel Brooks movies. So that's all. That's all.
Right.
Athena, we're so excited to have you here, especially since you totally bailed on me last week. We should have already had this interview because you had to go see T-Swizzle. Taylor Swift tickets went on sale today, I hear. Was that what kept you from it?
Oh man, I can't believe you just went there. No, man,
I'm an asshole.
It was Napalm Death, one of the best death metal bands on the planet, man.
Napalm Death, holy shit, they're like the Beatles of death metal.
They kind of are. They're old and they've been around for a while.
All right, gentlemen.
which is kind of rare that happens in death metal, that you have that sustainability. I mean, I'm not an expert, but it does seem that there's a lot of it's kind of like old school punk. There's not a lot of people that do that for a long period of time.
They started when I was 1.
And Chad's 52.
Yeah. Actually, see, there are several bands that, like death metal bands, especially, that have a lot of longevity. The kind of bands you don't see with a lot of longevity in like metal are more of like your hardcore bands and stuff like that, or like a lot of your rap metal bands and shit like that, but as far as like death metal and thrash have some, and black metal have like the longest longevity, I want to say, in like metal history, besides maybe stoner metal, which started with doom metal, and stoner metal, which started with Black Sabbath.
All right, hold on for a hot second, Scarecrow Athena. First of all, here's some scotch. Second of all, what the fuck did you just say? I heard metal, death, metal, kill, death, metal, kill. Let's get started.
Now,
I usually want
in everybody's defense, that is what Joe normally hears anyway. It's his internal monologue. It's a lot of kill,
voices
death.
are just
you all can't hear anything right now. I'm actually listening to Napalm Death while you all are talking.
How is Napalm Death?
It's loud.
Oh my god! Thank you, Boomer, for your compelling review. It's loud.
The kids dress differently. They're one of the
first metal bands to do like grind death metal. Like,
what's grind death metal?
So grind is like,
as I take
the incoherent stuff, what we call piggy vocals, when they do like it gets extremely fast, and then it's like the really high pitched like piggy vocals. I don't want to do it and embarrass myself.
No, I want
you to do it. It's more guttural.
But it's guttural, and then it goes real high pitched. It's like,
but do the guttural part first. Do the guttural part first. Come on, do it.
What? I just did it.
You did the high part. I was waiting for the guttural part.
Well, that's more like the. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
How do they do that and keep the?
I don't know. I just did it for half a second and my throat shredded.
Yeah. So, you know what we do, and you know that I do a lot of these shows, and I've always
Hold on. I gotta put on some Barry Manilow for a sec. I gotta calm down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go take your medication, Chad. We'll go on without
take
you.
A nap. Watch some Fox News. Calm that down.
Say, why don't you go and make sure there's no kids on your lawn or anything?
Captain and Tennille's greatest hits. Ooh.
Anyway, but I don't know how they keep their voice, because I can. Oh my God, she does have a bottle of Old Forester. Hold on, Athena.
Well, that's how you cover your throat. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
I'm trying to get you to. There we go.
There we go.
Where the fuck is the camera? There it is. There it is.
I'm assuming there's none of that chamomile tea bullshit and prepping for.
No. So
Well, if you talk to the professionals, there's absolutely I've dated death metal vocalists before, and there's definitely like a routine to their
They
vocal.
have to.
And it also mostly comes from your diaphragm.
yeah.
It's not really in your throat, it's your diaphragm. So
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to do it from the lungs. It's actually I read that and then saw it in an interview a few years ago, and it helped my voice for Sunday. Especially
Yeah.
if you're a Saturday night and you've had a couple and you're trying to get somebody excited and you're trying to get the crowd. I get it. It helped my voice for Sunday to realize it's got to be down here instead of up here. It does.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. But I still need to look up death metal hamburger. What is it you saw?
Did
Say what?
Napalm Death.
Name Tom Death. I said death metal hamburger.
Oh, are you talking
By the
about
way,
Kuma's Burgers?
No, is that a thing? I was being a smart
Kuma's
ass.
Burgers. Yeah, it's like a metal joint. The original one's in Chicago. There's one in Indianapolis too. But they
See?
serve all these incredible fucking huge hamburgers, and they're all named after like metal bands and stuff.
Let's go.
well, see, a road trip.
Wait,
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
yeah. What is it
Trip.
called again?
It's called Kuma's Corner.
Kuma's Corner.
I think there's 3 or 4 of them in the country, but the original one's in Chicago. The one I go to all the time is in Indianapolis.
Well, you're right down the road from them, so yeah.
Yeah, we'll just pick you up and go to Indianapolis.
I'm 2 hours from you guys.
No, you're not. You're in Elville.
I'm in Louisville, yeah, which is almost 2 hours from Indy.
We're in Lexington.
I know,
Yeah.
but she's saying she has to drive 2 hours.
It's fine. We'll pick you up. And
Are you gonna pick me up on the way?
Yes, that's what I said. We will
I
take
gotcha.
you.
Okay, fine.
How
let's do
much
it.
did you smoke before you got on here?
Well, I had to be fucking prepared for this.
and the answer's always not enough. Not enough. To deal
No,
with
I
this.
mean, no, not
Just so
no,
you know,
never.
if you do get in a car with us, James has to play the Mighty Quinn on loop for 4 hours
It's
straight.
not just the Mighty Quinn. I have a diverse musical interest.
Yeah,
Jack.
it's Mighty Quinn and the 007 theme songs.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
all of them.
So-
not all of
so-
them. Do not put on
So
that Madonna
napalm,
one.
No napalm death, I'm guessing then.
No, I want to listen.
I'd
to
be
the
willing to
Napalm
give it a
Death.
shot.
Yeah,
I really would. I
Yeah.
really do. As much as they're teasing me, I really do listen. It all depends on my mood.
Yeah.
And there is a time for that thrashing sound. Usually when I'm working on something and I'm angry, it's great. Yeah. So sure, I give it a go.
So every once in a while, we run into somebody and you think this is going to be a good interview. I was right. This is going to be fun. So I want to start going through your childhood. You lay back on the couch. And what it is, as I'm curious, where were you raised?
I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York, for the most
Okay.
part. Yeah. We did when I was like a little bit in the middle of my years, we moved to Florida for like 2 years because, like, long story, but my grandpa got sick and all this. And then, like, after he passed, we moved back to New York.
Mhm.
And so I finished out my like high school and everything up there, and then I left there and moved to Pittsburgh to go to the Tom Savini school so I could become doing film and stuff like that.
Makeup effects, right?
Yeah, makeup and film. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you do
So-
not sound like you're from Buffalo.
Well, I have been in Louisville for 11 years now, so I think it's fucking like rubbing off on me or some shit.
So
Yeah.
well, let's you stop the story there. So you went to Tom Savini's. By the way, Tom Savini, I'm sure you've hung around Tom quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, not
have
quite a bit,
stories.
but we've been around each other enough times. Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of I will tell this. It was one of those where it was like, oh man, my idol, and then I spent some time and I was like, ah, damn it.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not going to say too much because I give him props for being a master at what he does. and
He is.
I
Absolutely
learned a
is.
lot as a filmmaker from him, but at the same time, he's not a person I really want to be in a room with. So
I'll tell you a story about him and something I witnessed in Chicago once, but I'll do it afterwards.
okay.
So you went to school there. Did you graduate?
Yeah, I graduated. But the thing that was actually exciting about that time in my life wasn't even, I mean, the school and everything, that was fun. But I had gotten hooked up with somebody that you guys probably know in the indie film scene, Toe Tag Pictures. So I was friends with Jeremy Cruz and Fred Vogel and Shelby before she was even Shelby Vogel, like before they were even married and all that. And I was friends with all those guys before there was a Toe Tag Pictures. I was there.
We don't know them. I've heard of them, but I don't know them.
Well, they are like they call Fred Vogel the king of the underground horror, like of indie films. And there's a reason for that. The shit that they have made and that I've been privy to help them make was really where my film career started. And it honestly didn't even have anything to do with the school. I met them as friends outside of there, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And it just became this thing where it kind of took over, you know, like special effects stuff. But then I started doing a lot more writing and set building and like helping with like production and the art direction and stuff like that. And some of the special effects on, you know, but Jeremy Cruz is like a special effects master. So like I was kind of behind the scenes with a lot of that stuff. But Toe Tag's very, very well known in like the underground indie scene, you know, for film, especially for the moves that they've made for like, you know, very sick cinema, like really distorted sick cinema. So that's actually like the exciting thing for me when I was in Pittsburgh was hooking up with Toe Tag, because that was literally the beginning of everything to come for the rest of my life, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how did you end up from Pittsburgh to Louisville?
Well, actually, this wasn't in part of the recording, but when I said I didn't want to talk about my exes,
I'm sorry. Well, we don't have to go.
No, you're fine. I got divorced from this horrible ex-husband of mine, and because I got married way too young and it was a mistake and shit.
James had the same problem.
It kind of like forced me out of Pittsburgh because I had to get away from a lot of stuff, you know. So I ended up moving to Covington, Kentucky at the time, because I ended up like doing like this little magazine deal where I met this guy. He was doing this thing called Rat Rods and Rust Queens. And I had been doing some modeling and stuff at the time. And I had been in some of his magazines. And so he found out that I was a writer and he had me come on as his assistant editor. So I was doing double duty. I was like modeling and going to the car shows and stuff like that. But then I was also interviewing and writing articles about the guys in their cars and shit like that. Like, so that's what actually, because, okay, long story short.
No, we're here for you. You tell your
right. So the editor of the magazine and the creator lived in Louisville. So I met him in Covington and started working with him there, and I was driving back and forth. And so I just decided to up and move to Louisville when the magazine was doing pretty well. But then, you know, social media and everything pretty much killed like the print era. So magazines became almost obsolete and the magazine ended up going under. And long story short, I really liked Louisville, so I'm still here.
Why do you like Louisville so much?
Oh man, it's the people and the culture here. There's a ton of art. I'm an artist, and so there's like a ton of art. There's a ton of music, and me being a huge metalhead, the metal scene here is fantastic. We have Metal Mondays every Monday, which is a free metal show. Some of them are touring bands, some of them are just your local bands. But there's always like a really good metal band playing like on Mondays. That's always free. The cultural districts down here are just amazing. All the food, all the, you know, beer and the bourbon made here and there's so much to love about Louisville. Like there really is a lot of culture and a lot of really awesome shit here, you know, that like on a daily basis, there's always something to do. This is not a city where you can be bored. You know what I mean? You never can be bored living here.
Yeah, 1 out of the 3 boneheads wishes he lived in Louisville.
I lived there for 6 years. I miss it.
Yeah. Awesome. So what do you miss about Louisville?
Everything you just said.
Yeah.
You didn't take that much advantage of that.
I didn't. And that's one thing I regret is I did not take advantage. But when I did take advantage of it,
Chad, how much longer is it till your statute of limitations runs out?
2064. How many years is that?
Yeah, you got some time. You're not going back to Louisville for a while, Chad. Sorry.
We're going to get even better by the time you're there.
I can never even figure out that math. I sucked at geography.
Yeah, obviously. That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, James. Do you have a question?
Well, so you were writing, and I always like writers, so I want to talk about. So when you were writing, you wrote for you wrote for Horror Hound as well, correct? Is that correct?
Well, actually, I didn't write for Horror Hound. I'm a published writer though. I started when I was a teenager. I had some of my poetry and some short stories published, and then I worked with Horror Hound on their staff for like the conventions and stuff. So I was
Gotcha.
like, yeah, I was part of Horror Hound in that way for like, oh my gosh, 7-8 years, something like that, I think. But I've always been a writer. I write my own scripts. I like to write short stories and poetry and shit like that all the time. I've been known to write lyrics for music for, some of my friends' bands and stuff like that. So it's just always kind of been a love of mine ever since I was young. I mean, one of my majors in high school was literature and like English and writing, and yeah. So
I've got a question. What's the difference in your mind, or when you go about sitting down to write? Do you sit down to write saying, "I know I'm going to write poetry," or "I know I'm going to write lyrics," or does what comes out dictate which one's which?
actually, it's not even like a thing where I think about sitting down writing. It'll be one of those moments where I'll have like a bit of an epiphany about something. Like I will see something or experience something, like even a smell will trigger me, and words will, well, I guess the best way to say it, words just start kind of coming to me, like in my head, and I just start pouring them out on paper, and sometimes they end up really serious, sometimes they end up really fucking funny, and then sometimes they're like trash and I throw them the fuck away. But, I just kind of like pour the shit out of my head when it hits me, Oh,
Which is what you have to do, right? Because once you lose it, gone.
God. Yeah, and I kick myself in the fucking twat every time I don't write shit down.
Yep. Nope. I know that feeling as well. Well, not so much all of that feeling, but
Well,
yeah,
I
get
mean,
you, Chad.
usually one of us kicks the other one in the twat. So,
Yeah,
No.
we earn it.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So back to where we're going. What do you think is the most fulfilling for you?
Oh my God, there's not one thing that's just fucking fulfilling.
Is it
Every
acting?
every bit of everything. It's every bit of everything that's fulfilling for me. The acting, the directing, the writing, the producing, the cinematography, the set design, the artwork, the writing behind it, finding the actors, working with the actors, picking the music, talking to the bands, finding the venues, looking for locations. I mean, like that, and that's just in my film world. I have other worlds besides that I'm part of. But those are some of the things that I get excited about in my film world, and especially since I love to make fucked up horror movies, I like to play with blood. And that's why they call me the Louisville Blood Queen. So I did not
Who
give
gave
myself
you
that
the
name.
Louisville Blood Queen title?
That was actually said by one of my friends online one day when I was posting some pictures from a film I had just done. And they were like, "Athena, you're the Louisville Blood Queen." And then a bunch of my friends chimed in and were like, "Yeah, you are." Like, and then it kind of just stuck. Like it just kind of stuck, and people still like refer to me as that, like from time to time. So it's kind of fun. I like it. It's a moniker I can stick with. I like it,
Yeah, no, we never get one that cool. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to. My kid is screaming. Chad, James, can you take over for just 1 second? Chad,
If James will unmute.
James,
Damn.
you on mute.
Oh,
I am
yeah,
so
no,
sorry,
sorry.
Athena.
No,
I
go for it,
rarely do
James.
this. I'll be right.
Joe's
Oh,
got to
okay.
go. Joe's got to go get his crotch fruit taken care of.
Yeah. So I was looking at some of your movies. Is it time to update Postmortem America 2021? Since we're a little bit past. Do we need a follow up? Can we?
Right. Well, we need to talk to Cameron Scott about that. That's his. But it's funny because we filmed that in like 2016 or something. So that was in the fucking future. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's just like asking Prince if he still wants to party like it's 1999.
Probably
like,
at this point he would love to.
yeah, right. Partying with the dead, man. Like rest in peace. But yeah.
So I had a question because this didn't get brought up at Scarefest because we just ran out of time. But how did you get associated with trauma?
Actually, that was 6 years ago. They were in Louisville, like Troma, Lloyd Kaufman. I had met Lloyd a couple times previously, and I used to help run a club here called the Louisville Gore Club. And Lloyd had been like one of our little like promo guest thingies or whatever. So we had met several times. And then they happened to be in town for like a Comic-Con kind of thing, like a comic book thing.
Yeah.
And he was a guest there. And the Tromettes all ended up backing out on him. And so somebody posted on Facebook that they were looking for a girl to stand in. And like 2 or 3 of my friends posted my name on this thread. And so this chick, Taylor, reaches out to me. She's like, well, people keep telling me you're the girl to go to. So can you do this? And I was like, yeah, let me throw in something skimpy and I'll be right there, And so I jumped down there, and sure enough, like we all hit it off, and they loved me, and they asked me to keep coming back. And now, like, I've been an official Tromette for 6 years, and it just sometimes if somebody else drops the ball, like that's there for me to take, and from my experience, for me to have like the time of my fucking life, like hanging out with Lloyd Kaufman and
I was gonna say you missed the movie premiere that night. That was an interesting.
No.
Oh no, you were there. You were there. That's right. I forgot because I grabbed you and you went. I grabbed you and you went.
Me at the Q&A.
I'm an idiot. I'm blanking.
I am actually stayed for the whole movie, and you guys left.
I know. Yeah. I am sorry. God bless America, my brain. But
that's okay. Let me promo it real quick. #Shakespeare shitstorm.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, let's back up though, because you said something. And also just to make myself feel like an idiot.
How much did you smoke before we got on here?
Oh man? God.
Also not enough. Also not enough.
I was sucking on a peppermint lifesaver. I'm living the high life.
The doctor won't allow him to have spearmint.
That's the one I like.
I know, that's why you're sworn off of him.
Son of a bitch. But, Louisville Gore Club. What the hell was that?
Every Sunday we used to meet and do horror movies, and we would throw like parties and just live it up every Sunday. It was just like a meeting place. We called it, like the clubhouse, and people would come down, and a bunch of our friends would hang out at this bar, and we would just play horror movies and have a great time, man. Sometimes we'd get all dressed up, like people would just dress up and show up and stuff like that. And we'd have like horror movie trivia nights and shit like that, so it was fun. It was a good time.
And so I'm assuming that's been defunct.
Well, it's defunct as far as my involvement. I used to be the vice president, and then I left the club because of
dictatorship
that I didn't agree with, and so I bounced. So it's still going on. It's just I ran it for 5 years, and so it's still going on. I'm just not part of it anymore. So, but all the luck to them. I always wish the best for everybody. So
are you still in like a horror movie, like a horror movie environment in Louisville? Because I'm kind of curious because.
Oh, absolutely.
I was there, like I said, 6 years, and I never knew of course, I was like, I might as well have been a hermit who lived in my small apartment and wouldn't come out unless because of people with torches. But I mean, I just never heard of, so how big is the horror community there in Louisville?
Well, it's not that big, really. I mean, honestly, besides like the Gore Club and like 1 or 2 other like kind of events that go on, there's this awesome place called Art Sanctuary here, and it puts on all kinds of awesome stuff. I mean, from like raves to like they hosted Linnea Quigley one night, and they did like a Q&A thing with Linnea Quigley down there. We've had Sammy Terry as a guest down there and stuff like that. So there's like little things that pop up around here. I wouldn't say that it's a big community here, but there's definitely a community for it, and people turn out for it. Yeah, for sure.
Because I in a lot of ways I feel like the society, like the community here in Louisville is Lexington.
You're in Lexington, Chad. What are you smoking?
Dude, I have no idea. Joe, you missed the whole thing.
Better than mine, apparently.
I forgot she was at the movie premiere and everything else. I'm having a
Dude,
day.
she helped us prop Lloyd up.
I know, and I grabbed her. I physically grabbed her when she said somebody catch me, and she goes, "Ooh, strong man." I've completely forgotten.
And then I
All
don't
of
you
it.
remember? And then by the way, and I'd had one or two as well. And I said a joke, and later I was like, oh man, she's gonna think I'm a creep because I was like, when she said that to you, I was like, get your hands off my girlfriend. Do you remember this at all?
Oh yeah, and that's when I grabbed her. Yeah,
Yeah. You probably weren't even.
Meanwhile, hold on. Let me do my bad joke. Meanwhile, I'm 100 miles away handing out Gideon Bibles, doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
You
Probably don't even remember it, Athena. That's okay.
Joe, you missed the Louisville Gore Club.
Yeah, they're the ones who had Joe Bob last year or year before.
Yeah, Joe Bob. Yeah, we did Linnea Quigley and Joe Bob and stuff. But
yeah.
That's
So I've got a question about your makeup work and
Yes.
working in makeup and going to school for makeup.
Because I've
With
seen some
that
of
in
your.
mind-
I have seen some of your work on Facebook, and it's pretty impressive.
With
Thank
that in mind,
They are
and
stalking you.
with that
It's
in
called
mind,
research, bastard.
there's a fine line between those two things, gentlemen. Anyway, what is your recommendation? Because I say this, I'm being self-serving here because I have an offspring that is obsessed with theater and makeup, and we got her the kit that comes with the head, and the first thing she did was make a major gash on the cheek, and we're like, check this out, Dad. And I was like, yeah, great, I'm raising you well. All that being said, what are the recommendations you have if you know of somebody right now that would be interested in that? Do you recommend they pursue something like the formal, or is there another way that you would recommend, or both?
well, both. With a little hesitation because, and I say this because, being that I've done practical effects for so long, it's going to computer aided effect for the most part. You still have some practical effects, but a lot of it, most of it is like computer generated shit now. You know what I mean? So getting into practical effects now is kind of, I don't want to say late in the game because there is still like places for it and things in need for it, but it's also so flooded because when there used to just be like one or two like effects company like schools that you could go to, now there's tons of them. I mean, it's like, and there's all these like YouTube do it yourself stuff, which is awesome. I don't know about it as a professional move. I would say probably that's iffy, but just to have fun with, absolutely. Like explore all the avenues, man. There's so many different like fun ways that you can like do like at home prosthetics and things like that you can make yourself and stuff, and I encourage people to dive in and have fun with that shit, like play with the latex and get all messy with the blood, but not in Dad's carpet.
Oh no, I was
whatever.
about to say it's too. That's the next words out of my mouth. In our living room, it looks like we have sacrificed a hamster. It's not a lot of blood, but it's just enough that when like people come in and they don't know us, they're like, and I see them do it, and then I intentionally, instead of actually explaining, I just look away. It's made for
Right.
some really interesting. Like my son had a friend over, and they didn't know us. It was their first time, and literally, it's the first thing the mother did that, and I was like, "Cool, all right, thanks for dropping
I
off."
wish you would have said, "Don't worry, the reattachment was a success," and then walked
right.
away.
I have and it's a curious question because you spent a lot
Well,
of
aren't all
time.
questions curious? Isn't that the point of a question?
Let me rephrase. I know it's a little
It's a
slightly
flippin'
redundant.
weird question. Is that better, Chad? Are you happy now?
No,
That'll
it may
suffice.
be a little too personal. If it is, I apologize, and you can feel free to tell me to go to hell. But as far as modeling goes, you've done a lot of modeling, and how do you feel about? I don't know. So I meet some models who, and it's weird. We've done this a while, and I meet some who just have this opinion about not being seen as just a piece of meat or an object, right? And then some who obviously enjoy the attention. So I'm kind of curious where you fall in between with all that, because you have to have a certain amount, I would imagine, of self-confidence, or at least don't give a fuck.
Well, I do. I mean, Yes, I have self-confidence, but that
Do you,
has come from many years of modeling and getting better at it and feeling more confident in myself. Through I started modeling when I was like 19, I think,
yeah.
and now I'm 43. So, that's like half my lifetime. But at first I was never that confident and it showed in a lot of my pictures. Nowadays, though, as I would say in the last like 10 years or so, it's become more of an empowerment thing where it
Okay.
makes me feel more empowered. It makes me feel better about myself. Not because I'm looking at myself in like this, like, oh, look at me, I'm pretty way, but that it's artistic for me. A lot of it's very artistic. And to me, art is empowering. And so like being part of art is empowering. And so to me, the human body, no matter what you look like, is art. So I mean, you can look back all the way like Michelangelo and all that shit. Every form, every body is different, and it's all a form of art. And I think with a lot of the way culture has been, it has taken away and derived from the art of like nude photography and stuff. Where I love doing the nude photography because it's freeing for me. Like I came into this world naked. I want to be buried naked. I want to go out naked. You know what I mean? I'm not ashamed to be naked. And I'm not ashamed of like the vessel that carries my beautiful soul. So, and in pictures, the kind of pictures and stuff I like to do, I feel like it's more a part of like my soul and a part of my energy coming out because I am giving, I don't want to sound cliche, but I'm giving it my all.
Yeah.
I'm like literally putting it all out there to the universe. And because I'm also a witch, I don't believe in like being binded down by clothes and things like that spiritually anyway. So if you understand what I'm saying, what I'm getting at is like a lot of times when I do these photo shoots, they're spiritual. They make me feel spiritual. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. And like I said, I hope that the question didn't come off as pervy or anything, but I was just curious.
It did.
No, trust me, I've had way pervier questions than that.
Well, I have a
that's not
ton
that
more,
bad.
but
It wouldn't have been so pervy, Joe, if you didn't have Niagara Falls coming out of your mouth and down your chin onto the.
Oh, well, it wouldn't have been so pervy if I hadn't got up and showed my penis. But besides the point. Now,
I wasn't paying attention.
that's okay. It's easy missed. So I gave everybody a pause so they could laugh. I gave everybody a pause. Listen, Athena, nothing grows in the shade. Now, back to what I was saying. It's just curious to me because I have met folks who do a lot of nude modeling, and then they will sit here and bitch to me about some of the way, and I get it, and especially what you're talking about as far as the art, as far as the art form. But there's guys and men can be creepy. There are, by the way, there are some women creepers out there. I've got one myself. It's a little off-putting.
Absolutely.
And the other two boneheads will defend me on this one little point.
No, it's
oh, shut up, Chad. You know exactly what I'm talking about. He's just being silent because he wants to make my life harder.
No, it is disturbing.
It is slightly disturbing. But how do you deal with that?
Well, I usually take those things, I don't want to say with a grain of salt. I understand that it's going to come, that doing these kind of photo shoots and things, that there's going to come the perverts and like, the words and things that I don't necessarily want to fucking hear. But at the same time, I usually rebuttal with something ridiculously funny or,
like what?
I try to always like bounce things back. So if things become really intense, I try to always soften things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like if they, hold on, I'm trying to think of a good example here.
Please, if you don't
mind. Because I would love to hear an example.
Yeah.
I want to hear an example.
Down a perv.
Well, there was a guy who sent me like a DM message once about one of my photo shoots where it was like the one photographer, Larry, he does this awesome stuff with like a rain thing, right? And some of these shoots are really cool. And the guy's complaining about the nipples, how the nipples don't show like in the picture. And he was like, oh, you would have more fans if like you showed your nipples and stuff like that, And I was like, man, when you have a flesh-eating disease like nipple rot, I don't think you want to show that to the world. Like, those are my kind of rebuttals, just like
nipple rot.
Yeah, those are my kind of rebuttals to people. And then they usually leave me alone.
I have an areola hole.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I have nipple rot. I don't think everybody wants to see. So that's just an example of like,
I would have paid you $1 million and go, here, let me show you. And you just send him a piece of molded prime rib.
Oh, I think it would have probably been like a pepperoni that was on a pizza that I ate like 5 weeks ago.
Oh, that's even better.
Like, yeah.
I was just curious.
The problem is, what if that turned out to be what he was really into? That's the scary part. Is
well, then everybody won, James. He got his, and she was able to make.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So then my fan base just keeps growing. I don't know.
Hey, there's a niche crowd. There's a niche crowd for everything.
Yeah, I was going to say there's what. So talking about performing and doing different forms of art, I also wanted to ask you, because you also do work as a clown.
Yes.
And so what is, and I think there is definitely an art to that and a persona. Can you talk about how you develop the persona?
Are you saying it's art, the clown?
No, that's a different thing,
yeah.
Joe.
Oh, I need a swig, and then yes, I will tell you all about Duke, the Germantown clown.
Duke of Earl.
Then I'm going to tell you about my distaste of clowns, but keep going.
A lot of people have a distaste for clowns.
I'm not afraid of them.
I like Doink the clown.
I have a specific. Go ahead.
So about 10 years ago, I started working with the Blue Moon Circus. They were just this small little circus of like 8 people here in Louisville. And they were just doing like sideshow stuff and like, like sword swallowing and the bed of nails and all that kind of stuff, right? So I started off just doing like little sideshow tricks and things like that. And then one of the clowns, Mr. Tickles, decided that he was going to retire.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Tickles.
Mr. Tickles.
Yes. So he decided he was going to retire. And so they had a spot for a clown. And so I kind of became his understudy. And after a little while, I decided I didn't want to be another Mr. Tickles. And I became a rodeo style clown. And I was Lady Necrotatas, which translates to Lady Dead Boobs. So I was Lady Dead Boobs clown for a little while. And I had like some fun tricks I did with some rope and shit like that during our shows. And then one day, and I'm not kidding you, this is for real. You can ask my other clowns. So wait, I have to interject there, because between the time of Blue Moon Circus, my friends and I started just a clown thing called the Kalashnikov Clowns, and we're a Ukrainian clown troupe. Because I met this other Ukrainian woman who's a clown.
Yeah.
So we teamed up, and it was me, her, and her husband.
How does this happen?
Is the day in the life of Athena, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So let's interject that in there. So, as I'm doing the Lady Necrotatas thing, and we're doing the Kalashnikov Clowns thing, I'm on the shitter one day taking a hell of a dump, and
thank you for sharing.
I have this like epiphany, and so you guys all know Hunter S. Thompson he's from Louisville.
I was gonna say I was looking at the image and I'm like, that's Hunter S. Thompson clown base, right? That is what that is. Good. I'm not crazy.
So he's, Hunter S. Thompson's from Louisville and he's from Germantown. And so, in Fear and Loathing, they call him Raoul Duke. Mm-hmm. So I'm Duke, the Germantown clown. So I am based off of Hunter S. Thompson. And I am a male clown. So I cross-dress as a male clown. And then I'm extremely raunchy. I steal women's underwear and sniff them on stage. I do loads and loads of fake cocaine. I have a suitcase full of drugs that I take on stage and I use during my performances with the other clowns. I'm constantly using the ether and stuff like that. I am super not right. Let's just say I'm an R-rated type of clown.
Yeah.
Super dirty, super raunchy. And the whole time I'm talking like this motherfucker, and everybody's just like getting in my motherfucking way and shit, like that was a little bit of Duke for you. But when I get into persona, it's crazy. It's over the top. It's kind of a mix of like of Johnny Depp, you know, and Fear and Loathing, a little bit of Bill Murray from Where the Buffalo Roam, a little bit of Hunter S. Thompson himself, and then you mix a little of my personality in there. So he's huge and he's loud and he's abrasive and he cusses a lot and he's constantly doing all the things you're not supposed to do. And he's breaking all the rules of being a clown on purpose. So he's a lot of fun. And I do these fun skits with these other clowns when we perform and stuff. And sometimes we do like little gigs on the side stuff, but mainly we perform in like comedy clubs and bars and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a lot. I could go on and on about it.
No,
yeah.
I'm loving it.
I wanted to bring it up because all I could think is that we finally found it. Let's sponsor this in a children's hospital. Let's just see how it goes. Let's just see what happens. Hey kids, come on, let's enjoy a clown show. This will be great. No, I saw the image of you as Duke, and I was like, there's got to be a great story. And I assumed it was Hunter S. Thompson because it looks so. By the way, phenomenal makeup, everything else, but it is just. I was like, oh, this is going to be a great story. This is going to be, and I find that phenomenal that you really have done all this different stuff. So from the makeup artist, from writing into clowning. I mean, you hear people are people of many talents, but very rarely, I don't think we've ever talked to somebody like, well, I've written, I've directed, I've modeled. Oh, and I'm a clown.
We've had Academy Award winners on the show.
Yeah, but we've never had.
You're our first fucking clown.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I am an actress too, but no Academy Awards here, but whatever.
No, it wasn't really me dropping. It was just giving you a little bit of a compliment. We actually.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm your first clown, you know.
Your first clown.
And I'm not terrifying Joe right now. So, you know.
So here's the thing with clowns. Do you want to know?
Well, I've heard this from many people. So we do these clown pub crawls, right? To like support our upcoming shows.
Yeah.
And so we'll get all of our clown gear out and we'll go on a random night on a Friday in Bardstown Road in the Highlands and just parade up and down the street to the bars.
Yeah.
And people either come up to us and ask us what the fuck we're doing, or they will beeline and run away from us as soon as we enter the bar. So we've literally made newspapers and headlines because they're like, clowns invade Bardstown Road and shit like that. You know,
there was that weird case a few years ago, and it wasn't in Louisville, but where was it? North Carolina or something, where there would just be a random clown that would come out of the woods occasionally, and everybody's like, "What's that about?" And nobody ever decided what it was about. That probably didn't help matters any.
No, it didn't, because that was a negative thing, and we're fun, you know, we're fun and we're adult based. Everybody's over 21 at our shows, and like, you know, we're supposed to be very entertaining, you know, we're definitely not your typical kind of clowns like at all. So, and there's Bubblicious, and she's like the clown that's like out of it all the time, and then there's Simha, who's like the hobo clown. And then there's our like announcer guy who does like all the announcements and things like that. Like he's like our commentator kind of thing during the shows. And his name is Svengali. And then we have Katya, the clown, who's like the clean freak and the neat freak and like just all frustrated all the time and shit like that. And then there's me, Duke, who's like the bane of everybody's existence in the clown troupe.
That's awesome. I was sitting there listening to you, thinking that Chad and I had several good times on Bardstown, but it's been more than a decade since I have.
Oh shit!
I was trying to think of the bar that there was a bar that I frequent that I would go to with friends from the Louisville, and I can't remember the name of it, but all I remember is there was a guy who every night showed up in a kilt, and the reason he showed up in a kilt was so if somebody asked him, "Dude, why are you wearing a kilt?" he would beat their ass. That was the only reason he wore the kilt.
Was that Cahoots?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Oh. The weird part is, by the way, Chad went every day.
That's one of her exes.
Wearing a kilt.
No.
It's one of her exes, and she didn't want to talk about. How dare you, Chad, bring up one of her exes like when we told her we wouldn't. I
specifically remember that I was sitting at a booth with some friends of mine, and he walked in, and he's a very tall, very, you know, menacing figure, and he's wearing a kilt. And I said, "Why the hell is that dude wearing a kilt?" And my friend whispered to me, he goes, "Dude, shut up."
Yep, I know who that guy is.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
actually doesn't live here anymore, but yeah,
Oh, he
I know who
doesn't?
you're talking
That's
about.
because you guys
Mhm.
broke up and you got Louisville and he didn't.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's it. It's not because his body's buried in my. Never mind. Yeah.
That's a good story too.
Oh, I'm full of them. Eh,
So back to good stories. You're a fan. You're a nerd.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, the reason I'm saying is look behind you, look behind me. If Chad was in his room, you could see that. And Chad,
No, yeah, you can't see it. There's like all kinds of stuff behind me in this dark room.
and then James is in his office, but we're geeks, we're nerds.
Yeah, and in your original, you move positions, but in your original position, there like right there in the center. I don't know if James saw it, was like 2 face masks of Vincent Price in a frame.
Oh, actually, those are latex pourings of his death mask and his mask from House on Haunted Hill.
That's amazing.
Those are
Yeah.
By the way, Vincent Price is my favorite everything. It
Me
doesn't matter what the
too.
category is. I literally like. I could care less about any other Scooby Doo. 13 Ghosts is where it's at. I don't care. All of that is he's my favorite everything.
He's just sucking up to you. He hates Vincent Price.
No, I will kill you.
He wants
Chad.
to be the next ex-hilt guy.
Vincent Price and Clint Eastwood are my two
Oh, Clint! I wouldn't have guessed Clint Eastwood. Why
Oh no,
Clint?
I love westerns as much as I love horror movies.
We love westerns too, actually.
Yeah.
And I love Clint Eastwood. Everything. I literally own all 34 movies he's ever made.
Yeah, that's fascinating because that's something we actually don't get to. We've only ever had a couple of guests where we actually get to. Courtney Joyner, right?
Courtney Joyner had great stories of
westerns and stuff. He was
and he does all the commentary, and he does tons of commentaries on old westerns that they've restored.
Yeah, you should check us out sometime and listen to some of them. That's beside the point. Anyway, we don't get to talk about westerns. So, what's your favorite western?
Oh man, that is a really tough question. I never care for the your favorite questions because that's so
Well,
we ask it and we
2 or 3.
I'd say we ask it, but we always hate it too, right? Because everybody doesn't. What's your favorite movie? So we agree with you. Give us a couple that you would recommend to other people. If somebody said they'd never seen a western before and asked you to recommend a few, what would you recommend?
Well, Hang 'em High is one of my all-time favorites. And not just because of Clint Eastwood, just because that's an incredible movie. Hang 'em High and Unforgiven are my 2 favorite Clint Eastwood westerns.
Yeah, I love Unforgiven too.
Oh my God. Well, he directed that one and produced it too. And oh my God, that shootout scene in the fucking saloon is just insane. Yeah. So of Clint Eastwood, those are my 2 favorite Clint Eastwood westerns. Of the newer westerns, Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah, I like Bone Tomahawk.
God, that shit when they turn dude upside down and split him down the middle and everything. I mean, it's just so brutal for a western. It's more like a horror movie.
That guy, all those guys,
so brutal.
The guy that made that, he also made Brawl on Cell Block 99 or whatever it's called, and that's also extremely brutal. And
Drag Across Concrete,
which is also extremely brutal.
Right, absolutely. So that's his MO. But I love Bone Tomahawk, man. It's so hard. There's so many good ones.
That's okay. You can think about it.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple right there. There's just so many. It's hard to say because I also love Sam Elliott and fucking Lee Van Cleef and a lot of those the movies Lee Van Cleef did and stuff, and I don't know, that's why it's just so hard.
No, it absolutely is. So I have another question for
you. True Grit with John Wayne is one of my favorites. The original True Grit. I like the remake a lot too, actually.
I do
with
too.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at that wall and I'm just curious, back to the whole fan thing, who's been your big, so I'm assuming like us, you don't usually get too, what's the word?
Starstruck?
Yeah. You probably don't get too starstruck, but is there somebody on that wall that is like, ah?
Well, you can't see it, but my whole room is covered in autographs and stuff,
So is
that
this
nerd,
shit.
that nerd in me, right? You, right?
The basement.
I don't you're right. I don't really fangirl out very easily. But I have to say the one time I really kind of flipped my lid when I met Sean Whalen from People Under the Stairs.
Yeah.
Because People Under the Stairs is one of my all-time favorite movies, like hands down one of my all-time favorite horror flicks. And I admit I was a little buzzed. I had eaten like a little special chocolate chip cookie, and
you
I
see
had a
him at
couple shots of
Scarefest?
bourbon.
Ooh, it had
And
macadamia nuts in it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it did,
that's what it
actually.
was,
It
Chad.
quite good. But I was feeling quite fancy, and I ran up to Sean Whalen, and I was like, "It's motherfucking Roach! It's fucking Roach, man! You guys see this? It's a fucking Roach!" You know. And I kind of had like a fangirl moment with him, which I like never do with anybody. And he received it so well that like I got tons of pictures where he ended up going bowling with me. We did karaoke that night. Like we ended up in a VIP room for Bill Moseley's birthday with Sid Haig and a bunch of them. Like, and me and Sean Whalen in like these recliners passing a bottle of Jack Daniels back and forth with Bill Moseley and shit. Like, so that was pretty awesome. So after I fangirled out on him, like he totally like took it and like we went and partied the whole rest of the night.
He's great with fans. I saw him
Yeah.
doing like doing a whole disco breakdancing thing in the middle of Scarefest at the VIP party one year. I don't know.
Like, yeah, I bet. I don't doubt it. He was so much fun. We laughed so fucking hard. We had a great time. Yeah.
Yeah, macadamia nuts, man. They release all your inhibition. That's why, like, that's why at Christmas the mixed nuts. I have to be careful.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm banging Joe's cat.
Oh,
Never recovered. Never recovered.
The cat was actually okay with it. Chad never recovered.
I mean, Joe had to take the cat to get a flea dip, but that's unrelated.
Yeah.
Well, that's related, but
right.
Oh.
So, and
so instead of crabs, you got fleas. I get you.
Oh, what did you call my kid earlier? A crotch what?
Crotch fruit.
Crotch fruit?
Yeah. So Joe had to go take care of his crotch fruit.
I'll be honest, harvesting them is the hardest part.
Yes.
Planting them easier than not most of the time, but harvesting is
Oh no, she switched to what are you drinking now?
It's Old Forester. I drank the rest of that. So this is the Old Forester 1870, which is their original formula, their original batch.
Yeah, that looks good. I don't think I've ever actually had that one.
I haven't.
It's quite delicious. It was donated to me by my buddy who I do the metal album reviews for on his podcast.
Cool. All right. So we've had you on here about an hour. Let's start talking about projects that you got. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Projects that you got coming up. I'll drink something to make it better. What do you got coming up? Tell us about.
Well, I've got 4 movies in the works that I'm not really at liberty to talk too much about.
You can tell us, nobody listens.
The Killing Game, which I mentioned earlier, which I'm doing with Pitfire Films with Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah.
And Bob East and Chuck Terrell, who did Holy Shit Man and Pitfire of Hell. And then I've got a couple other ones that, like I said, I'm not really at liberty to talk about. But my big thing right now is I'm working on doing like a heavy metal throwback to like Headbangers Ball. So it's videos and shit like that, but it's like Headbangers Ball, like amped up like a lot. Like imagine like Jackass and Beavis and Butthead and Wayne's World and Saturday Night Live and everything like crammed into Headbangers Ball. So it's like metal and horror movie stuff and like skits and fake commercials and things like that, you know, and it's just a whole lot of fucking fun, and it all revolves around metal, and it's called Thrashers and Destroyers, and it's all of it like short videos of things. Like I actually just finished a couple of scripts today for it. We're shooting on this Sunday. I'm shooting 3 fake commercials for it come this Sunday and stuff and whatnot. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's my main project right now. Besides like the films and stuff I'm working on, I'm working on my own thing, doing this video project, which is going to be like a bi-monthly thing, and it'll be about 45 minutes long.
So how are you going to, how are you going to distribute that? Is it going to be on YouTube? What's it going to be on Twitter?
Yeah, we're going to do YouTube and stuff. There's going to be a couple of different platforms, Facebook, YouTube. We're not quite. I'm having a website worked on right now, but it's fucking slow going.
Yeah.
So when that is finally finished, I will actually have a website for Thrashers and Destroyers, and it will host all the videos and all the content, and everything will primarily be between Facebook and YouTube and the website. So for right now, I'm just going to do Facebook and YouTube, I think, just to start getting things rolling with it, since it is kind of brand new, get the name out there a little bit more, and then build it up.
I think that Bonehead goes right along with that title. I think we should have a special guest appearance on this show. We're only an hour away from her, gentlemen.
Well,
you know, we would take her for a burger in Indy.
Well, that can see it right there. I'm doing a segment called Road Warriors based off of Mad Max, and it's about metal on the road. So it could be about metal shows, going to metal shows and things like that, but we could do metal hamburgers. So we could totally make that into a road trip for Road Warriors, where the 4 of us go and get metal hamburgers. And since you guys aren't really big metalheads, it'd be interesting because of the reactions I would get from you guys. Like, say, let me play some metal in the car on the way, and we could call that a skit. We could call that an episode.
Actually, I had an idea. Why don't we also just go to a retirement home, a nursing home, if you will, and see if there's anybody, and introduce the elderly to, because I honestly think a lot of them would enjoy it. I have a couple.
It depends on the metal you're talking about.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But honestly, it would be fun to introduce. I always say, in my mind, I was saying about Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like, one of the things I love about going to Rocky Horror when they're doing the stage show and everything is taking somebody for their first time. Like, and watching somebody else experience that chaos for the first time. And either they enjoy it, and most do, or they go, maybe less so.
That's an interesting idea to actually add to my show, is like having that kind of experience, like first time listeners kind of thing. Like, yeah. That's an interesting concept to think about. Yeah.
I think the reaction video, because I think about that, like it caught viral for like the people that heard Billy Joel for the first time, and they were like, "This isn't actually that bad. I'd never actually listened to Billy Joel before." And they were people that normally listen to rap, and they were like, "Oh, this is he actually has some points." And I was like, "That's a fascinating thing to watch somebody experience the type of music for the first time." And I watched that video, and I was like, "Yeah, this would be really cool." Like, what would people think about the Ramones if they'd never heard it? Let's bring in Pet Sematary and see what they think. But anyway, so yeah.
I love it. No, it's a great idea. I think I might steal that idea for my show, actually.
That's okay. We're full of shit and great ideas, and we're more than happy to do this burger run thing, because I think it would be hilarious.
Also, I like burgers.
Also, I like the idea of one of us leaving one of our car seats in it that you could clearly see the shot the whole time of these old fuckers.
Well, it'd be hilarious if you put me between the car seat and I just complain all the time about the crotch fruit.
That's fine. I mean,
actually,
we're not actually going to bring the kids. Just
the best part though would actually
I'd be complaining because maybe I'm half sitting in it. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, absolutely.
The best part actually would be halfway through it when I go, "Wait, where's the kid?"
Yes.
That would be.
Yes.
Or you're all splayed in the back eating some Teddy Grahams. Where the fuck are the fruit snacks?
You meant to say Teddy Grahams, right?
Teddy Grahams, yes.
And that's a specific
graham cracker.
Yeah, but that's not what you said.
What did I say?
Teddy Graham.
I did not. You just heard titty.
I was thinking about pulling graham crackers out of car seats.
That'll work too. You're metal. You don't care. You're there for the funk.
Man, I'm there for the fun, and that's part of funk. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Right. So we've got that coming up. And do you want to talk about the exclusive? Did you just make it? Oh, you know what? I completely forgot to ask you. I introduced you as our first Tromette, and that is true. But how did that happen? I forgot completely. I was going to ask that.
We've already went over that.
When you were attending your crotch remnants,
bitch.
That was You'll have to watch this show sometime. You might learn.
I hate listening and watching us.
Was that before? But was that before you guys forgot to hit record?
Funny enough, Did they tell you a story that we do a segment for a show in Australia, and we just had them on the show the other day, and we've been on their show as well, but we do a weekly segment for them. And he's a little heftier than us, and he deals with a lot of agents and publicists, and his guests are pretty good. He doesn't have a Tromette, but his guests are pretty good. And you would be shocked how many times he's forgot to push record. We were talking about it in our show last week if you listened to it. And I was like, you son of a bitch, Glenn, really? You're a professional.
It's okay. I just had to bust your balls just a little bit about that.
No, it doesn't bother us. I mean, we've made a lot of mistakes, but I don't think we've ever forgot to push record.
That's pretty funny. Well, there's a first time for everything. That's all
Yeah.
right. But yes, I'm a Tromette, 6 years now. Long story short, I got kind of roped into the job because somebody else bailed. So
What's your go ahead.
I was saying, and now here we are, and I'm working with Lloyd, and it's amazing. So
What's your
yeah.
most fucked up Lloyd Kaufman story? What's the most fucked up thing you saw him do?
Oh my God. Actually, Friday night at Scarefest, we went for the movie premiere.
Yeah.
And then like before the introduction, we are standing at the bar and we're ordering drinks, and a momentous moment where Lloyd Kaufman handed me his American Express gold card. And I'm just standing there looking at it, and I swear it's like from a movie. It's like glowing, and I'm just like, like, oh my God, it's like the Holy Grail in my fucking hand. It's Lloyd Kaufman's fucking credit card. And he's like, go get us some bourbon. And I'm like, yeah. And so next thing I know, Taylor comes over and she's like, hey, Lloyd's had a little bit to drink. Make sure you watch out for him. And I'm like, all right. So I turn around, and sure enough, he's like surrounded by all these people and everything. And he could barely stand up, right? Like he's kind of struggling. And this is before like the Q&A, right?
Well, hold on real quick. I don't interrupt you, but so he doesn't usually get that drunk?
Apparently not. I think he was tying one on pretty hard that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because we ended up hitting really quick to fill in a gap here. We did the Q&A, and real quick, a friend of ours who owns Lexington Comic-Con was trying to bust my balls, and then I made it worse on Chad because Chad's the one with the anxiety, saying, if you don't have your shit together, Lloyd will attack and go after people who don't know stuff. And by the way, it is true. You can look it up. It has happened. But you were there. He loved Chad. You looked over at me in the middle of it going, he's moved closer to your friends. Do you remember doing this?
No.
You did. And by the way, it was true. He did move closer to Chad. He loved Chad. And so at the end of it, he asked us to come introduce the movie that night. That was never the plan.
Yeah.
Go back with your story. Sorry.
That's awesome. See, I didn't know that part.
About him asking us about doing the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck no. We've never met Lloyd before that. No. And then when
I thought that was a planned thing.
No.
Oh, God, no. He pulled us aside and said, will you come over and introduce the movie?
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It made my night. I mean, like I said, I've been a fan of Lloyd and Troma for years, so it was definitely something I never thought would ever happen.
So that was never intended to happen. So when we showed up over there later, we had been drinking and had dinner too. Please continue with your story and Lloyd being drunk.
Yeah. So no embarrassment to Lloyd, of course, because oh my gosh, I love him to death. He's awesome. But he was tipsy, and he was like, really enjoying himself. And so, Taylor's like, hey, because me and Lloyd were hanging out at the bar, and it was just kind of the two of us. And then she's like, watch out for him. And so I'm watching out for him. And at one point, like, he turns around and he runs into me, and he was like, Athena. And he goes, again, I love you, Lloyd. I love you. He goes, Athena, don't we have a movie playing tonight?
So he probably didn't even remember that he asked us to introduce it.
I don't think he remembered that the movie was playing at first. And then I was like, yeah, Lloyd. I was like, it starts in like 5 minutes or something. Like, we're gonna have to go soon. And he's like, okay, you just make sure you let me know. And I said, no, actually, come on, let's go now. Let's go. And that's when you saw me and him walking over. You guys were talking to like Antonio or something, I think, over there. And you saw me walking up arm in arm with Lloyd. And that was because he couldn't really walk straight. And B, I thought I was gonna lose him in the mob of people that were trying to love on Lloyd.
Well,
You know,
that bar was
I was
full.
watching him in there, and he was darting back and forth. I'm like, how old is he?
That's what I was gonna say.
He's in his 70s.
I know he's like
And
76, I think.
You've worked with him in different settings. Does he have like? Is he ever just? I'm gonna be low key today. I'll just be low key. It'll be because he does. If so, he never seems that way. He seems on. He's always Uncle Lloyd. Whatever that is, he's always going every time. I would just look down at his signing booth and he'd be bouncing around. Be like, how? I'm tired now.
Oh yeah. No, he loves his I can tell you this straight up. Lloyd loves his fans. He loves talking to them. That's why he signs autographs for free. He does pictures for free. He will stand there and talk to you for 20 minutes if somebody doesn't drag him away. Like that man will dedicate his time and his efforts to every single human being who shows him time of day. So that's what makes him so incredible, though. He will literally talk to every single fan, like until like he's blue in the face. And even then you have to pull him away because he's got a line that is surpassing Kane Hodder's, you know, and I'm like, Lloyd, you know, and as a Tromette, you got to be like, okay, Uncle Lloyd, moving on. Come on, next one. Like, you know, got to shuffle him through and keep him moving along because he will just talk and talk and talk. And he's wonderful that way. But he loses track of where, because he's so wrapped up in everybody else. He gets so engrossed in other people that he kind of loses himself. You know what I mean? But I think that's endearing of him.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and it reminds me a little bit, oddly enough, that we talked about Vincent Price. Everything, and I never got to meet Vincent in person, but every story, he never charged for autographs. He never did. You could mail him an index card, he'd sign it and send it back to you. But he also, like in Victoria Price's book, she talks about her father was just interested in stuff. And he would talk to anybody that would be interested in that. And so it's almost like this odd horror lineage that seems to pass on through. And so Lloyd keeps that going, and we're thankful for that.
Absolutely. Uncle Lloyd's one of the best people I know. I mean, I'm not just saying that. Like, he's literally one of the best people I know. And I'm really happy to be in his graces and to like be part of his life. Like, it's really fucking phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, we were just sitting there. I think I might have been talking to Jess. I didn't even know she did a costume change, I think, in between whatever it was. So she looked completely different. And I made some joke about her jacket. And then I don't think she laughed at me or thought it was funny at all. But anyway, at the end of it, he's like, let's stay and watch the movie. Do you remember this? Were you there? And then he didn't even make it through the shorts. He said, let's go.
I know. Everybody left but me. Like, I mean, besides the crowd that was there, like all you guys, Lloyd, Jessa, Antonio, all you guys left. But I sat there and I met this gentleman who I'd met earlier in the day who had come to our booth. And he and I sat there and split a bottle of wine. And I had a little special pin on me that I was puffing on, you know, and we're sharing that. We're sharing the wine. And we are laughing our asses off because hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm is fucking hilarious. I mean, we are dying laughing, man, the whole time. And I'm sitting there going, I can't believe all those jackasses left. Like,
well, hold on now. I did not know there'd be a special pin and a bottle of wine. Of course, none of those guys offered to do that for me either. So there you go.
See, I didn't know either. I had the special pin. He had the bottle of wine. I just happened to sit down next to dude.
There you go. There you go. And then
it's all meeting people and like, you know, yeah.
And then there was a love connection.
Do we know when hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, is that going to be available on DVD, home video, what have you soon? Because I'd love to see it. I'm just old.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was 12:30.
I mean, it just premiered. It literally just premiered a couple weeks ago, so it is brand new. But I know it's on Troma now, right now. And actually, hold on, let me plug this. Troma now. That's right, Troma now. So you can find it on there right now, or you can wait and it comes out on DVD and everything shortly. So probably in a couple months.
Speaking of Troma now, and if you watch our episode that we did from where we interviewed Lloyd, you know this already, but Troma now is Is it $4.99 a month?
It's $4
$4.99
or
a month.
$6. Yeah.
First month is free, so then we get you like fucking addicted to it, and then it's just $4.99 a month after that. It's cheaper than Netflix and has better movies than Netflix does.
I was going to say, and it has, I mean, literally $4.99 a month. It, quite frankly, if you watch one movie on a month, it's still cheaper than going to the theater. And you're watching Troma and you're supporting independent film. So
that's right, because it's also independent filmmakers. It's not just Troma movies. It's all kinds of independent filmmakers. And I'm pretty sure, hint, hint, that Lloyd and I talked about a few of my films are going to be on there shortly. So,
go ahead.
I just wanted to say, we told Uncle Lloyd we'd bring up Troma now. I wanted to A, honor it, but B, I also want to support these independent films because I enjoy a blockbuster as much as anybody else, but we need every voice out there. We need original stuff out there. There's always room for more because it means something to somebody. Keep putting that stuff out. That's my soapbox moment. Go ahead.
Okay. So I want to plug the shit out of you, which sounds weird. But what I want to say is, if somebody wants to buy your content, if they want to buy some of the magazines you've been in, if they want to buy some of your art, if they want to watch some of your movies, where can they go to find out everything about my friend Scarecrow Athena?
Well, I'm horrible at doing PR for myself. I'm
trying to build you up. Also, your Twitter account is just lame.
Well, I don't have a Twitter account. That's why.
Yeah, you do.
But I don't use it at all. At all. I created that because of my old job and never fucking gave a shit about it. So, no, I don't actually have a Twitter account. That's fucking stupid. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook primarily. I'm not great at social media. I'm really not good at PR stuff. When it comes to me, I love promoting everybody else and things that they do. I forget about doing PR shit for myself. But just reach out to me, man. Just like find me on Facebook and shit, and like just reach out to me. I want to talk to people. If you have something you want to if you're interested in like filming or modeling or clowning or my metal reviews or any of the things I do, just hit me up via Facebook and shit. Like that's literally the way I do everything nowadays. It keeps the creepers at bay, and I don't have to give out like really personal information. And man, maybe if I had like a personal assistant, I could keep up with all the fucking things. But my life is busy, man. I have a fucking regular job and shit too. And I don't know. Who's got time for all that shit? Not me. I
don't know. I want to know what your regular job is, but I'm not going to ask on here. Hold on, Jay. Where can they find you at on Instagram? What's your Instagram handle?
It's Athena Metal. AthenaMetal. Athena Metal.
There you are.
And what is you said that your reviews are on a podcast. What's the name of that podcast?
It's called Metal Forge Radio, and I do metal album reviews on there called the Metal Misfit Review.
See, we'll promote you one way or another. I will link you to as many things as I can.
Yes. And I'm also part of the Outcast Metal Zine, which is an online metal magazine, and I write metal reviews for him as well. So, yeah. My life's too busy to keep up with all my own shit. I don't
know. No, it sounds great. Yeah. Well, it's been
real quick, any clown things coming up? Any clown events you want to promote in Louisville or around that area?
No, actually the clowns are taking a little bit of a break because one of the clowns' kids in school, and so there's all this stuff going on, and so we haven't rehearsed in like about a month now, and that's because of the kid. I'm going to blame it on the crotch fruit again. But yeah,
listen,
so
they take a lot out of you.
That's the reason why the Boneheads weren't vaping and drinking wine, is because it was 12:30 and we all have children. Yes.
Right. See, I do not. So I will do all the drinking and vaping for you. So
yeah.
Let us live vicariously through you. Do it all and report back. We'll love to hear about it.
Well, I hope this didn't suck too bad.
No, you guys are fun. Thank you for having me on here.
It's been a pleasure having you, and we're going to end it now. Thank you so much, Athena, for coming on Bonehead Weekly.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.